everyone, this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make this little bracelet connected by jump rings and using SuperDuos. It's just a really cute little bracelet. Here is the clasping. I put a little dangle on it and an extender so you can adjust the length of this, and it's really simple, fast moving, and you can make a whole bunch of these in all different colors and they would just be adorable for spring and summertime. So, or you can make it whatever color scheme you want and it would go with any season at all. But I'm making this, I'm going to call it my springtime bracelet or something like that. I will decide in a minute, but this is what this looks like. I'm going to take it off really quickly and lay it out so that you can see it laying out. And this is what it looks like. I'm going to put it in a little circle here so I can kind of zoom in on it and let you see what the units look like. Really cute, really fast, really fun, and I hope that you will consider making one. So if so, let's go ahead and look at the material list and get started with the project. Okay, for this tutorial we will be using some SuperDuo beads. Now I have Pearl Coat Coral. It's Pearl Shine Coral Pink is what I'm using for my SuperDuo. Then I'm going to be using a 3x4 rondelle. This rondelle was actually in the Sapphire and Champagne treasure bag. In the other treasure bag there's a rondelle for the aqua and amber in this aqua color, so, or turquoise color. So if you want to use those beads, you can. Otherwise, any 3x4 rondelle. This isn't necessarily a treasure bag tutorial. It's just that that's the 3x4 that I have chosen. And then we're going to be using 8/0 and 15/0 seed beads. So this is Toho. I recommend that you use a Toho because we're going to be passing jump rings through the 8/0 seed beads. So you need an 8/0 that has a nice big hole, and Tohos have nice good size holes so that we can actually accomplish this design. My 15/0 and my 8/0 are galvanized permanent finish starlight in the Toho line. I'm going to be using several jump rings, and this is about 4 to 6 millimeter jump ring. I think it's 4. Let me measure it really quick. This will be the outside diameter, and it is 5 millimeters. So somewhere between 4 and 6 millimeter jump ring. Just make sure it's not a real thick jump ring. I would say about 21 gauge is what this is, because if it's really thick, it's not going to go through your 8/0 seed beads well. And you're going to need several of those. I have one larger one, which is about an 8 millimeter jump ring, and a toggle clasp for my clasping. And that's what we're going to be using, as well as some 10-pound nanofill or 6-pound fire line. Do not go in diameter above a 6-pound fire line because you need to make sure that you can pass through these beads a lot, and you don't want to fill the 8/0s up too full so you can pass through your jump rings. So that's what we're going to be doing. You'll need a size 12 beading needle because we're using 15/0 seed beads, so you'll want a small needle. I am using a pony size 12 beading needle. We're going to be making little segments like this, and then we're going to hook them together. So for each segment, you're going to want to put about 2.5 feet of thread onto your needle, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, to start, we're going to pick up onto our needle 4 SuperDuo seed beads, and then an 8/0 seed bead, and then 4 more SuperDuos. Make sure both sides of your SuperDuos are open. Sometimes one side of the hole can be blocked, and that's a problem later as we're working. So now that I have 4 SuperDuos, and then I have an 8/0, and then I have 4 SuperDuos and an 8/0, I'm going to bring this down to the end of my thread here. And I'm just going to tie a knot. I'm just going to leave enough tail so that I can actually tie the knot. I'm going to cross the working thread over the tail thread and then just pass my tail through the loop twice. And then pull this into a knot. Now it takes a little bit of arranging because sometimes your super duos will flip around. You want them all to the outside like this. And we're going to sew through this again because that knot is not sufficient and it will not hold. So we're coming out right in between the 8/0 and the super duos, and I'm just going to start to go through all the super duos again in the hole that the thread is already in. So in the inside hole here, we're going to start going all the way around all of these beads. So now I'm going through these two super duos and the 8/0, and then I'm going to go all the way around this side. Move my tail out of the way here. And just for good measure, I'm going to go through this side one more time, past where my tail is, so I make sure that I'm not relying on that knot. And again, go through the first hole. I was trying to go into that second hole. Don't do that. And once you're all the way around to the 8/0, go through it and exit it. Just like this. Now everything should be nice and secure so you can work. You're going to pick up a 15/0 seed bead. Then you're going to pick up 2 of your 3x4 rondelles. Then you're going to pick up another 15/0, just like this. We're coming out of this 8/0 seed bead. We're going to go straight across into the opposite 8/0, and we're going to go into the same side from which we're coming out of this one. So we're going straight across out of this side into this side, just like this. And I'll get you in just a tad closer just to make sure. And then pull these beads down and across the middle opening of the super duos, just like this. Now pick up another 15/0 seed bead and go through both of your rondelles right through the center here, just like this. And then hold on to your beads and pull that super duo down so it lays right next to the first one you put on. Then pick up another pick up another 15/0 seed bead and go into the opposite side of the 8/0 that you started in, right here between the super duos, and just the 8/0, just like this. Now that little bead sometimes needs a little encouragement to get up where it's supposed to be, so just kind of push him up there and make sure your beads are nice and neat. You have good tension, nothing's loose. Now we're going to sew through this one more time just to make sure that it stays nice and neat and secure. So we're coming out of this 8/0. I'm going to do this in a diagonal this time, so it's just easier to pass my needle through. So I'm going to go into this 15/0 seed bead, into both of my rondelles, and then into the 15/0 on the diagonal here. Pull that through. Then I'm going to go into the 8/0 between the super duos, right here. And then I'm going to go back into the 15/0 on this side, and again at a diagonal, I'll go through both of the rondelles and then through the 15/0 on this side. So I'm just going at a little diagonal. And now my middle crystals are nice and secure. I'm going to go into this 8/0 seed bead right here. And this is what I have. Now, just to get this out of my way, I am going to trim down this tail a little bit. I'll leave a little bit of a tag, and I'll bring that down in a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm coming out of this 8/0 seed bead, I'm going to hop up into the second hole of this bead here. And yes, there will be a little trail of thread there. That's okay, we're going to cover that. So just go from the 8/0 into the second hole of the first super duo that you're closest to, just like this. And then pick up a 15/0 seed bead and go into the next super duo. And we'll continue doing that, placing 15/0s between all 3 of these super duos. So just go from one super duo to the next and put a 15/0 in there. Once you get to this point, oops, let me get in camera. I'm going to back off just a little. So I just place the 15 O's in between the SuperDuos. Once you get to this point, then you're going to pick up a 3x4 rondelle. You're going to pick up an 8O seed bead and a 3x4 rondelle. So this is what we have here. We're going to go from this top hole of this SuperDuo into this top hole of this SuperDuo, skipping over the 8O seed bead that's between them. And pull this down. And it'll twist and do weird things. Just arrange it so it lays like this. Then we're going to begin picking up 15O seed beads and putting them between the SuperDuos on this side. So we're going to pick up one SuperDuo, or excuse me, we're going to pick up one 15O and pull the thread down and then place another 15O and then another 15O and again we're to the end, so we pick up a 3x4 rondelle, an 8O seed bead, and a 3x4 rondelle. Just like this, we're going to go from this SuperDuo to this SuperDuo in the top holes. And I'm going to go ahead and go through the 15O behind it just because it's easier, and I'm just going to do that. Okay, so this is basically our unit. However, we need to sew around the outside of this unit completely and maybe even twice just to make sure that this unit is going to stay together, because we've only got one pass of thread through the end pieces, and those are the pieces that the most tension is going to be on when we connect our units together. So we're going to sew around it and make sure it's secure. So I have come out of this 15O. I'm going to go into the next SuperDuo and the next 15O. At this point, make sure you don't skip any of the SuperDuo holes, because it's easy to get your thread on the outside of the SuperDuo, and you want to be passing through the holes. So we're just going to go all the way through all of them here. Then I'm going to go up through my rondelle here, and then into my 8O here, and then I'm going to go into the rondelle here, the SuperDuo, and the 15O here. It's like this. I'm just going to continue doing that all the way around to ensure that my unit is going to stay together very well for me. I'm going to go into this SuperDuo here and see if I can get the rondelle at the same time. Now, if you're super hard on your jewelry, or you know that you're going to sell this piece, or whoever you're making it for is hard on their jewelry, do this another time. Go all the way around again. And at this point, I just want to make sure that my video isn't really long and I feel like my piece is fairly secure here. So I'm coming out of this little 15O here. In between the 15O and the SuperDuo, I am going to pass underneath that 15O and make a loop. And then I'm going to go through the loop and pull a knot down between the SuperDuo and the 15O seed bead. And I'm going to do that a couple of times, working my way around here. I do go into the next SuperDuo, the next 15O, go underneath that 15O, make sure I arrange my thread into a loop between those two beads, and go through it again. And I'm going to do that one more time. Up through. Put the loop between the beads. I can feel it sliding as I pull on it between the beads there, and that's what that looks like. Now, just to get away from my last knot, I'm going to go ahead and go up through this SuperDuo, this rondelle, the 8O, and into here again. Now you don't want to fill those 8 O's too full, so if you decide you want to go through or all the way around again, just do it one more time. Don't do it like 14 because you need some space in those 8 O's. So now I am just going to pull my thread to the back of my piece. I've turned it over and I'm going to cut it down. And I've left a rather long tail here, probably a little too long, but I want to make a blob with my thread. So I've got my little lighter. I'm just going to get the heat close and I'm just going to roll a blob down. That creates another little knot there. And then I can find my tail and do that too. Actually, my tail was pretty short. I should have cut it a little longer because I don't think I can get my lighter in there. So I'm just going to leave it alone. But you can do the same thing with your tail side. Now you're going to go ahead and make several of these units. So we'll need probably about 7, but go ahead and start making units. I'll be back in 2 seconds and tell you how many I have made, and we'll hook them together. And that way you'll know instantly. I just don't know yet. So because I'm designing. So that's how we're going to make those units, and we're going to cut each one off, knot each one off, and continue making units until you have 7 units. Now this is all contingent upon how long you want your bracelet to be. I am guesstimating, basically. I put one jump ring on so I can see exactly how much room that it's going to take up. I guess the rest, and it's looking like it's about 6.5, maybe a little over 6.5 inches once I put this together. So then when I add my clasping, I should get close to another inch. So I should get right around a 7-inch, maybe a little over a 7-inch bracelet is what I'm hoping for. Now, you can change this and make the length longer by, of course, making another unit. You can make it shorter by making one less unit. You can add and adjust and change the length a little bit beyond just making the amount of units you've made by changing the size of your jump rings and the size of your clasping. That way you can fine-tune the length that you make. But I'm shooting for a little over a 7-inch bracelet. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to connect these little units together. So the way that I'm doing that is I'm just grabbing a jump ring. I've got a straight pin here so that if my 8 O seed bead is a little recessed and not sticking out enough, I can kind of lift it up like this. These are pretty good, but sometimes some of them are down a little lower. You can lift it up and have it prepared so that you can get your jump ring through a little bit better. Now we're going to grab a jump ring and find the opening, place a plier on one side of the opening, place another plier on the other side of the opening, and just twist it open and twist it open pretty wide like this. And then you're just going to grab a unit and put it on the 8 O seed bead here. And then grab another one and put it on the 8 O seed bead. Let them kind of lay over each other a little bit so that you have enough room to manipulate your jump ring back. So just turn the jump ring back and shimmy it and make sure it's cut or shut well like this. And then we're just going to hook them all together. So let me do that again. I don't even know if I was in camera. I wasn't paying attention. So we're going to do it one more time. We're going to grab a jump ring, and I'm just going to put these two together since I have 2 ready here. And I'm just going to, of course, you'll just do one at a time. I just had that one prepared. So I'm going to put this one through the 8 O here. And here is where it's kind of shoved down, so I'm going to bring it up and grab my jump ring and put it on this 8 O. And sometimes the way you twist your jump ring open also makes a difference how easy it is to put onto your unit. Sometimes they just don't want to go that easily. So it's there, and then I'm going to grab this one and put it on. Make sure that you put them all facing up, of course, and then close it. So just continue putting your jump rings on and connecting all of your units together, and then we will come back. Let's just see what it looks like there. We will come back and we'll put on our clasping and measure it. Okay, so I have hooked all of my units together, and as you can see, it's about not quite 6 3/4 inches long. So that will give you a reference if you're using basically the same size of jump rings I am using. That's going to be the wild card in this particular design and on the length. So you're just going to have to work with the length as you make yours and make the modifications you need to make it fit. And now that we have all of these hooked together, I'm going to grab another 5mm jump ring on either side, put that on, put on one of my large jump rings. If I need to, I can add a couple large jump rings, and that way I can have a extender on this too. So I can make it a little longer, considering it's not quite at 7 inches, and I like mine to be between 7 and 7.5 inches. I may have to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and grab a jump ring here, and again, open it up. Well, there we go. And I'm going to put it on this end of my bracelet, just like this. I'll get you a little closer so you can see. And then I am going to put on my clasp. And you could also put 2 jump rings here and extend your clasp side out too. So you could, you don't necessarily have to have just 1 jump ring on this side. You could have 2. And I hope I'm in camera again. I just can't seem to pay attention today. I'm so sorry. Then we're going to open another one, another 5mm one, and put it on this side. And I'll just drop this jump ring on, and then I can make sure it's closed all the way. But I'll just drop this on. And I have a fairly large lobster claw I'm using too, so if you have a very small one, you are going to have to take that into consideration also. See if I can get that closed. And I think I'll go ahead and put one more big jump ring on here. You could put a couple dangles on the end. You could I may make a couple little dangles on a head pin and stick it on the end here. That could make it look cute too. So and let's close this. Now you can also make these units hook together without jump rings. I'll show you a modification I've done of this so you can see. But what you would do is here, when you're done making your unit, you just start picking up right out of this 8/0 seed bead. You'll start picking up your SuperDuos and make your next unit. So let me show you what it looks like. If you want to hook them together, this is what it looks like. So I have done this one with 3 units and then jump rings in between. So like I said, you just come out of the 8/0 seed bead and start adding your, because you'll have an 8/0 seed bead between your beads here, and then you just start making your next unit. Now if anyone's really interested and want me to make a continuous bracelet with this stitch, just let me know and I can always make another tutorial with this stitch as a continuous stitch. But I like it like this better, actually. It's much prettier with one individual link, and it lays better, whereas with this one it's just kind of, it's like square. So, you know, this one, it has more flexibility. I think it's really cute. And I made the little dangles here on this one. I think I'll steal these dangles off and put them on here. All I did was put them on a head pin with an 8-0 seed bead and make a little wrapped loop. And I have done that a million times on a bunch of videos, so I'm assuming you know how. If not, I'm sorry. Just let me know that you don't like it when I assume things, and I won't do that again. But I'm going to assume it at this point, and I am just going to put these on this one here, and now I'll have a long extender. And if I decide it's too long, I can take one jump ring off and put my little dangles on it, whatever. But that's what this one looks like, and I think it turned out really, really pretty. I'll go ahead and put it on, come back, show you what it looks like on the wrist, and then we will be done with this tutorial. Okay, so here's what it looks like, and I really did not need an extender for this. My wrist is actually small enough that it fits just fine. I'm going to take it off and measure it for one last time so you can see exactly how long it is, but it actually fits just fine. I could take my little dangles and put them on just the one jump ring and it will fit me fine. But I'm going to leave the extender on simply because one of my friends or relatives or something may want it, and that way it'll be universal for whoever wants it. Let's look and see how much this measures, and we'll be done. So from the very last on my extender, I can get this up to 8 inches. So without the extender, if I didn't put this small jump ring either, you could just put your big jump ring right into it. But if I didn't that, it's at 7.5 inches right there. So that kind of lets you know what you might need to do to adjust the length for your body size or whoever you're making it for. So that's what that looks like, and get you a little close up here. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please consider subscribing, maybe hitting the like button if you're feeling very friendly, and the notification bell if you want to put up with me again. Okay, bye-bye.